There are moments in life when silence becomes louder than any argument, when your absence says what your words never could. You didn't slam the door. You didn't shout. You didn't seek revenge. You simply walked away. And in that quiet step, that calm departure, you declared something greater than rage. You declared mastery. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." When you chose peace over chaos, you proved that truth. You didn't leave to hurt them. You left to heal yourself. And in doing so, you became the one thing they never expected: untouchable. At first, your silence confused them. They thought it was weakness. They assumed you would return with apologies, explanations, or tears. But as the days turned to weeks, confusion turned to discomfort, and discomfort turned to fear. Because silence has a weight. It mirrors truth. It forces the guilty to hear the echo of their own actions. They replay the last moments, over and over, searching for your reaction, your emotion, your surrender. But there is none. You are calm, unmoved, free. And that freedom terrifies them. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Now they live inside that imagination, trapped by questions they'll never get answers to. They wonder where you are, what you're doing, who you've become. Every unanswered message becomes a ghost. Every quiet day feels like a reminder that you are no longer theirs to control. But you have found peace. Peace is not emptiness. Peace is power-restrained. Peace is the decision to stop dancing in someone else's chaos you no longer chase. Validation, you no longer argue for your worth. You simply exist fully, silently, beautifully, in control of your own mind. And that silence is not void. It's victory. There's a story told in the writings of the old Stoics of a soldier who fought for years under the banner of the empire, winning glory in every battle. But one morning, he laid down his sword and walked away from the noise. When asked why, he said, "I realized the war I was fighting was not with the world, but with myself." You are that soldier. You walked away not because you were defeated, but because you no longer needed to fight. You understood that peace was not found in winning arguments, but in outgrowing them. And now those who once thrived on your reactions suffer in the quiet. They try to provoke you, to pull you back into their storm. But your silence stands like marble, strong, ancient, eternal. They speak in noise. You answer with stillness. They act in pride. You respond with peace. They seek to prove they matter. You prove that you've transcended needing to. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is not found in escape. It is found in composure. You mastered your emotions, and that mastery has become their torment. Because control is addictive. When they could control your feelings, they felt powerful. When you stopped reacting, their illusion collapsed. They suffer silently now, not because you punished them, but because you stopped feeding them. Every time you remain calm, every time you choose silence, every time you smile at peace instead of noise, they lose a little more control over you, and they know it. In your absence, they are left with themselves, and that is their real punishment. Your peace has become their mirror, and in that mirror, they see everything they refuse to face: their impatience, their ego, their insecurity. You didn't destroy them. You simply stopped enabling the version of them that needed to destroy others to feel whole. And now, as the days pass and your silence stretches across their mind like a vast horizon, they begin to understand the truth. They didn't lose someone ordinary. They lost someone rare. Someone who could love deeply, but walk away quietly. Someone who could stay calm. While others sought chaos, someone who could turn pain into wisdom. You became the very thing they never had the strength to be. Still, there is power in walking away without hate. There is strength in silence that speaks louder than revenge. There is wisdom in knowing when to hold peace like a sword. You left peacefully, and now they suffer silently, not because you wish them pain, but because peace reveals what noise once hid. Remember this truth. Your silence is not the absence of power. It is the proof of it. Peace does not shout. It does not demand to be seen. It moves quietly, like sunlight through clouds, unnoticed by those still chasing storms. When you walked away, you were not running. You were returning, sir, down to yourself. What they saw as distance was actually discipline. What they mistook for indifference was enlightenment. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And so you changed your thoughts. You turned pain into philosophy, heartbreak into strength, loss into clarity. Now, as they wrestle with regret and silence, you stand where the Stoics stood, not above the world but within it, unmoved by its noise. The garden within, imagine a garden growing inside you. For years it was overrun by weeds of worry, vines of doubt, and roots of anger that strangled your peace. Every apology you chased, every argument you tried to win watered those weeds. But when you left, you stopped watering chaos. You allowed the soil to rest. You allowed silence to heal it. At first, the stillness was strange. You mistook it for loneliness. But in time, you began to see what it really was. Peace growing in the cracks where pain once lived. Now your mind is a garden of control. You prune your thoughts. You guard your gates, and anyone who enters must come with peace in their hands, and or not at all. Epictetus taught, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgment about things." You have mastered that judgment. You no longer let emotions dictate meaning. You decide what deserves your energy, and in doing so, you have found something rare: freedom. The mirror of consequence, they, too, now live in silence, but not the peaceful kind. Their silence is full of noise, guilt, memory, the ghosts of what they could have been. They scroll through old photos, reread messages, and wonder why the light they once dimmed now burns brighter without them. What they feel is not punishment. It's consequence. Life has a rhythm that always restores balance. When you take from another what you refuse to give yourself, peace, respect, love, and the universe has a way of returning the lesson. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free, and that bravery, the quiet courage it took to walk away without resentment, became your liberation." They suffer because you no longer do. They drown in noise because you learn to breathe in stillness. Your silence became the sound of justice. The Emperor's lesson history tells us that even emperors faced heartbreak, not of romance, but of trust, betrayal, and loss. Marcus Aurelius buried his children, lost friends to treachery, and ruled a world on fire. Yet in his journals there is no bitterness, only reflection. He wrote to himself as if whispering to all who would follow. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That is the heart of your story. Their rejection became your redirection. Their silence became your sanctuary. Their absence became the space where your wisdom grew. The wound became the way. Now, you no longer seek to be understood, only to understand. You no longer chase connection. You attract alignment. You no longer explain your worth. You embody it. If that is how you know you have grown, the power of non-reaction when they reach out. And they will remember this. Silence does not mean indifference. It means discernment. You respond not from emotion, but from clarity. You have learned the art of pause, the sacred second between impulse and response. That pause is where your power lives. Because reacting is easy. Reflecting is rare. Most people are slaves to their emotions. The Stoic is not Epictetus reminded us. No man is free who is not master of himself. Freedom begins in the moment you choose. Stillness over chaos. They may call your calmness cold. Let them, they do not. Understand that peace has its own language, and it does not need to shout to be heard. The return to the self now. You have become what they never expected. Serene, steady, sovereign. Your happiness no longer depends on who stays or who leaves. You've stopped asking why they changed, and started asking what you learned. And in that reflection, you found wisdom. You realize that peace is not passive. Peace is active discipline, the refusal to let anyone else govern your emotions. You live by the Stoic creed now, to control what is within and release what is not. They suffer silently, because they still seek control over what's gone. You thrive quietly, because you've learned control over yourself. The balance has shifted us not in revenge, but in revelation. When you left peacefully, you ended one story and began another, and not theirs, but yours. And in this new story there is no chaos, no begging, no noise, only the still rhythm of a mind that has conquered itself. Marcus Aurelius whispers across time, "To be calm is the highest achievement of the self, so be calm. Let the storm rage elsewhere. Let those who once took you for granted sit in the silence they created. Your duty is not to return their noise, Wicca, but to maintain your peace. You have learned what the Stoics knew, that the truest revenge is indifference and the purest victory is serenity.